This is Healthy and Uplifted's October event, moving from colorism to self-acceptance. We are so excited you are here, and we're excited to present to you a new platform today. So we are happy to be going live on both Facebook and also YouTube, and we thank you all for being with us here today. So we will also share some slides, if you can bring those up for me. Okay, so I'm not sure if everyone can see the slides, but can I get next slide, Asriel? Perfect, thank you. So we just want to put a quick notice. As you can see, we are recording this event, and by staying and attending, we ask that you just let us know if you're not comfortable with being recorded. If you feel a need to change and protect yourself, we ask that you please just change your name. You can do so on either Facebook or on YouTube. And just knowing that by staying and participating in today's event, your name and or your voice or any of your likeness can be used in our electronic, print, or multimedia publications, which includes both Facebook and YouTube. Thank you. Next slide. And we do want to add a quick disclaimer. So we are here to provide health information, but we are not a licensed healthcare provider. So any information that is provided today is meant to serve as informational purposes. Please do not disregard any advice from your medical care team, and we ask that you just continue to seek medical care as necessary. And also, we just want to add a quick note. We're so grateful that we have a lot of guest speakers here today, but we just want to acknowledge that some of the views that are expressed here today do not necessarily reflect Healthy and Uplifted. And so please use your best judgment for how we take the information. And again, we do not recommend or endorse any of the specific tests, physician products, procedures, or opinions that may be shared here today. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our fabulous host. So we have Dr. Azumah, MD, MPH, FACOG, ACC. So Dr. Azumah is a board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist. She is the founder of Healthy and Uplifted and the co-founder and president of Love Your Menses Incorporated. She's interested in high-risk obstetrics, perinatal anxiety, and mood disorders. She is a doula. She is a certified life coach. She's an organizational consultant. She's a blogger, professional speaker, an author. She does it all. As I said before, she's my hero, and I'm excited to welcome her here today to transition to the rest of our agenda. Thank you, Dr. Azumah.
All right. Thank you so much, Brianna, for being here. I appreciate you. It's always a pleasure to have you come in, even though you have an exam coming up tomorrow. You're a second-year medical student, but thank you for always making your time to be here. I want to honor you and tell you I appreciate you. All right. So quickly, we're going to go back to the slide. I like to do some additional housekeeping rules. Why do we have Healthy and Uplifted? We've started this platform because we wanted to give back to our community. We wanted to tackle important points that affect us. So today's topic is on colorism. It's a very, very triggering kind of conversation. It's a conversation, I would say, we're focusing today on Black people. So it's a conversation that me and my friends we've been having. But we said, you know what, we would bring it to the national platform so that we can have this conversation and see how we can heal, how we can move forward. With that said, I'm going to go back to the slide. Israel? All right. All right. So basically, we've talked about the housekeeping rules. We've talked about the welcome remarks. So now we're going to do a reflection, right? Before we switch platform to StreamYard, we would do a poll, but we cannot do a poll now because we don't have a way to really communicate directly with you guys, our audience. But we would have a reflective question, and then we would begin our program or continue our program with our keynote event, whereby we'll have our master keynote speaker give like a didactic introduction on the topic. And then we'll have an interactive Q&A. And then we have giveaways for each of you. Thank you. So the reflective question, I can't see the PowerPoint slide. Ezreal? All right, thank you. So the question is, have you experienced colorism? Have you I say a victim of colorism, and if you're comfortable chatting your experience in our Facebook Live commentary session, that's great, or on our YouTube. Just be transparent. So I'm going to give you a few minutes before we move on. Right. All right. Next. All right. So a lot of people have experienced colorism, and our master keynote speaker would touch more on how we at Healthy and Uplifted defines colorism. Okay. With that said, we have three amazing facilitators. Our first facilitator is all the way from Nigeria. She's not here right now, but she'll be joining us shortly. Her name is Judea Justina Adams. She's an ex-banker, inspirational speaker, lifestyle coach, and an Amazon ambassador. She's a great advocate for women's place in society. She believes everyone, especially women, should have a voice in the society. She does this by creating platforms that allows women to have conversations like this. She believes that no matter how beautiful and financially secure a woman is, her health is paramount. The next facilitator is Corey Nix. Corey Nix. Corey Nix is widely known in the media world as CKNX. He's a self-taught freelance graphic designer under the brand CNYX Graphics. Nix provides a plethora of custom designs, logos for people. Nick launched a media platform in 2021 and a podcast. And in his podcast that's known as Dialogue Within, they tackle different questions, different topics that affects people of color. Nick was born and raised in Racine, Wisconsin, attended the University of Wisconsin Parkside, where he studied communication, conflict analysis, and resolution. Nick resides in Cincinnati with his wife and two children. He's known for this tagline: create something dope, create something now, just create. Thank you. Welcome, Nick. All right. Our next speaker is Attornina. Attornina is a matriarch on a mission to heal Ghana, Africa, and the world through the empowerment of mothers and mother figures, one woman at a time. Na is a mother of two precious sons. She retired from UK as an employment attorney, intuitive body and mind wellness, and she's now a body and mind wellness coach for women. She currently resides in Ghana. Ne is also a founding member of Power to Our Mothers Foundation. This foundation seeks to help women and girls empower themselves on multiple levels, including politically. They can make laws and decisions which can better cater to their needs. Nee also leads a Clubhouse platform where she addresses things that affect Black women. To me, she's an expert in conversations like this. So we are going to welcome all of our speakers next for the slide. Now we're going to allow you to begin the presentation. I'm going to hand it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm conscious that my video may be frozen. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay. If that's okay, I'll proceed then, because I don't want to mess up with the tech. And I'll try to do this subject justice in like 10 minutes, because it's huge. But welcome, everyone. Thanks for having me here. So when we're talking about colorism, a number of different ways that we can explain what that is. Here's a basic way where we're, in essence, talking about any prejudice or discrimination that we might face or experience based on a person's skin tone. Now, usually, but not exclusively, the lighter skin is favored over the dark skin, and that favoritism comes in certain advantages, which we'll look on shortly. And typically it's within the same ethnic or racial group, as we're talking in the Black community, but it does stem and is rooted in racism, where we're talking about different races, particularly white and Black. Next slide, please. So where does it show up? This is a photo of my two babies. I'm a mother of two, like I said, 10 and 8. And I'm showing this picture because I had understood that, yeah, colorism it's learned, really. You know, it's learned, and we learn it from as young as childhood. And I brought up this photo because one day I found my youngest son, which is the one with all the big hair, looking at this photo that we have in our lounge. And I asked him, oh, so do you like the photo of yourself as a baby? And he looked really serious, and he said, yeah, but I prefer the one of my brother, his older brother, which is the one with his hair nicely brushed, right? And I said, oh, but why is that? And he couldn't quite articulate what it was. He just said, oh, well, I think his one looks nicer, you know. So we had a conversation about how I think his one is beautiful and things. And whereas he didn't say that, oh, well, it's because of this, this, and this, I think for me, it's clear to see when we talk about colorism that this right here in one family, one son is lighter, one son is darker. Now, they both feel they belong because my son, I would say, has a complexion, which is, the son with the neatly brushed hair, let's put it like that, is, or the light skin, he has a complexion more like mine. Whereas my other one with the afro, he has a complexion like his father. So that works in that context. They can have a feeling of belonging. But when you have a family where basically all of you look a certain way and then one child, you know, looks either lighter or darker, it can really cause issues. And you can come across some of the most frustrating, sometimes painful questions, especially within the community. You know, questions like, are you mixed? You know, is that your mum? You know, do you and your siblings have the same mother or father? You know, those kind of questions, which can be quite hurtful. So if I can just move on to the next slide, it was to highlight that, yeah, even as children and then as adults, so we've literally grown with those things. Now, this negativity in colorism, it affects actually both quote unquote lighter and darker skin tones. When we talk about those of us who have darker skin tones, it has been shown in various different places doing their various studies that, you know, for instance, and forgive me, I do have the focus on the women, but darker skinned women are less likely to get married. Lighter skinned women tend to have better rates of pay and opportunities. Job opportunities. Darker skinned women tend to have longer sentences in prison. This is coming from stateside. And then in the media presence, I think we're all quite familiar with, first of all, perhaps living through a time where there were no Black people on screen, hardly ever. And then when they started to be introduced into Hollywood and everything, it tended to be the lighter skin of the community who were presented on screen. It seems to be very recently, it seems, maybe that's to me, it seems very recent that more darker skin toned people have made it to the big screen. You know, our likes of our Lupita Nyong'o, Viola Davis, Jimoh Hunsu, you know, dark skin, I say beautifully, you know, dark skinned people on screen. And so I think this discussion, Dr. Azumah, is very timely. In terms of the lighter skin, I remember going to school with some of my friends who were lighter skin, and the things that they had to battle was this stereotype that, well, all light-skinned people think they're nice, you know, they're too nice, as in, you know, they're above everybody else, and they did not all think like that. Then there was this question around their heritage, because it's like, well, if they were lighter skin, the question is, are they quote unquote black? Are they genuine, like 100% black? Or are they mixed? And then the other thing that they seem to share was also a question around their authenticity. It's like, well, especially if they're mixed by parentage. Often I remember my friends would ask the lighter skinned girls, well, you know, if they had a choice, would they say they're more white or more black? So then we'll do, and this is coming from us within the same community. And then to what extent does do they have to show their commitment to the Black causes? So they had to deal with that as well. If I can move to the next slide, please. So it does negatively impact us, regardless whether you're lighter skin or darker skin. And then the impact of some of these things, particularly on Black women, although the men are not left out by any chance, that we tend to, some of us, we tend to take out skin lightening products. I was astounded to read that a couple of different studies, but literally where you have an anticipated value of this industry of skin lightening products, that they estimate that by 2024 it will be worth anything between almost $9 billion US to $31.2 billion on this industry alone. Having this kind of light skin, dark skin argument, then we also tend to look at how we style our hair. Now, that's a whole concept, a whole conversation in itself. However, it does bring up the issue about, the beauty of the standards of beauty that are quote unquote acceptable, or that we tend to, because then you would tend to have straight hair, get it permed, because that's the other stereotype, or what has shown up is that, imagine darker skinned people who attend an interview, they are actually remembered by the interviewers as having skin that's lighter, regardless of what their skin tone actually is. So it's really pervasive. Then we have other things like cosmetic surgery, changing our noses, sometimes breast reductions, in a bid to fit this kind of standard of beauty that seems to be more favorable or have more advantages. And the last thing on this slide about, in terms of those who report themselves as having, mental health issues, physiological issues, they tend to be more so in the those with the darker skin tones, reporting that they face more microaggressions between what they face in terms of their skin color. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, sorry. So
Attorney Na, can you unmute yourself? All right, it seems we lost our attorney. Again, our attorney is calling in from Ghana. I can quickly review her slide, but I wouldn't state it as eloquent as she does. So basically, she wanted to emphasize that colorism affects our perception of attractiveness, femininity, sexuality, self-esteem, self-worth, and self-acceptance. I don't know how she wanted to word it, but colorism affects all of us. However, our goal today in this conversation is to move forward. So the next point is self-acceptance. How do we move forward? The first thing, as a certified life coach, I have to say self-acceptance is it's a part of our emotional intelligence spectrum, right? You want to accept yourself for who you are. And to be pragmatic, like, we need to accept ourselves. And some ways to do that, as Attorney Na has written in her PowerPoint slide, is know thyself. You cannot accept what you do not know. So you have to have a mirror and look at yourself and know why we have colorism and know how colorism is affecting you. The next point she says is ego. You need to know what behavior doesn't serve you, and your ego, I believe, she says, it doesn't serve you well. So we need to focus more on our internal than the external. A lot of us know that our external wears off as we get older. But our soul never changes. So we need to define ourselves internally, not just externally. And a reflective question she has is, a way to begin self-acceptance is to know what truly matters. So what truly matters to you? Technical team, please let me know when Attorney Na is back. All right. So we're going to begin the conversation. Once Attorney Na comes in, she can briefly summarize it and move forward. But CK, do you think colorism is a problem in our community?
Absolutely. There are so many instances where we lack confidence, we lack self-love, we're lacking in areas in our relationships, be it with our parents, with our spouses. It affects so many things in our life. And I think there's a lot to be said about, because it's generational. It's something that has taken place over generations, and it's basically something that it's burrowed itself deep within all of us, whether we care to admit it or not. And I think one of the main things that we have to prioritize is saying, okay, this is affecting me, and I have to find a way to deal with it and heal from it.
Wow, thank you. You know, as many of you know, I'm a Nigerian-born American, and I remember I came here years ago in the mid-90s. And I remember when I first came to the United States, I was surprised to see that they had darker skinned people that were my own complexion, because most movies that would feature Black characters or Black actors were light skinned with curly hair. So I thought all Black people looked like that until I went to Detroit, hi Detroiters, and then I saw that there were people that were my complexion. So we could see the media and other institutions buying into this. I don't know if you guys followed us, but as the president and co-founder of Love Your Menses, we did a back to school event in August, Free to Be Me, and we featured Miss Celia West as our keynote speaker. And the goal was for her to empower the young girls and to make them accept themselves. So the question is, it's serious. It's a problem. I remember going to University of Michigan my first year. I had a dear friend, that suffered with self-esteem issues. Like, she just couldn't see herself as beautiful. Like, my friend was gorgeous. Like, she had like the best skin tone, the best skin texture. I suffer from acne, so I do have some bumps down the road. But she had beautiful skin, but she just couldn't see it. She confided in me, CK, Justina. She said, Ebere, like, when I was younger, I always wanted to be light skinned. I couldn't see myself as beautiful. I wanted to have a light skin, like I only played with light skin dolls. I mean, we know this is pervasive. Even up to today, she still have that self-esteem problem. I mean, I try to coach her as much as I can by telling her, dear, you're beautiful, like, you're gorgeous, your skin is perfect, you're just perfect. But she couldn't move past it, so it shows that it's a problem, it's a situation. Attorney Na, I was able to finish your slide, but I don't know if you want to jump in and complete it or just go back to the conversation. But my question I had for CK is colorism a problem? I want you to articulate it with your British accent and your attorney knowledge. Thank you.
Was that to me? Was that to CK?
That was to you. That was to you, Attorney Na.
Oh, sorry, I heard his name. It is a problem when it impacts our perception. That's the whole point, is that we can do the inner work, on ourselves, and like you were saying, how we can encourage each other and what have you. However, practically speaking, I'm not saying it's something that we cannot overcome, but practically speaking, you're dealing with you, one individual. So when you do that work and you know who you are, you have built your self-esteem, you know how to value yourself, we're still living in a world where all those if you like negative images of this idea exist, you know, from the TV, social media, billboards, language that people use at work, in the community. It's all out there. So each time you're having to do this push-pull, you know, conflict kind of thing to keep yourself grounded. So even though, like I said, we can overcome it, it's exhausting because you have to, from my perspective, you're having to constantly kind of debunk and falsify the things that you're seeing around you and telling yourself, no, that's rubbish. This is who I am. It doesn't matter what my skin color is. I love it how it is. I love, you know, this person, how they are. So for me, that's the real challenge for us.
Wow, thank you so much. I think I have my dermatology friend here, Dr. Kemi. Dr. Kemi, I know you weren't part of the moderation of facilitation, but I need your input. For some people, you know, and as a coach, I tell people, be you, do you, right? So what if someone really wants to be light-skinned and wants to bleach their skin? Should we say do that, or should we discourage it? Because I mean, I want people to be aware of their action, right? So if you're going to say, whatever, I think being lighter, quote unquote, might be better for me in terms of job opportunities, and I want to bleach my skin, would you say that's okay, or would you still discourage it? I mean, I just don't know. And that's why I'm having this dialogue. Thank you, Dr. Kemi. Join us.
All right, thank you so much for this great session and for this discussion. So, you know, when it comes to changing the color of your skin, I'd say I'd highly, highly, highly discourage it. I think, unfortunately, we live in a society where many people are not comfortable in themselves, and it's not even just people of color. It's many people. You know, there's a survey that was done in thousands of women a few years ago, and they were asked if they felt beautiful. And these are thousands of women, grown women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and only 2% of them felt they were beautiful. And the other 98%, for some reason, did not feel they were beautiful enough, and they hated parts of their skin and wanted to change themselves. And so for me, the lesson was like, just love yourself, because just know that whoever you're aspiring to be like, there are also aspects of their skin or themselves that they don't like. And you should really, really appreciate yourself. And then for the people who have a lot of melanin, I also want you to understand what melanin is and how amazing melanin is. Melanin is an antioxidant. And so, you know, every day we're being hit by insults, by free radicals and other things that are out there to destroy our DNA. The UV radiation from the sun is one of the major causes of damage, and we have pollution and other things. The melanin in your skin is an antioxidant, so it prevents those UV rays from going in, and it also neutralizes the free radicals from the sun and from other sources. So if you knew how amazing the melanin you had was, maybe you'd love it more. Because of our beautiful, amazing melanin, it takes us 10 years on average. We age 10 years later than other people with less melanin. And that's also not taken into consideration the fact that we have other stressors in our lives, that, you know, people of color have more stress, we have poverty, we have other things that should be aging us. Yeah, just because of this amazing melanin with the antioxidant it has, we are staying younger and looking younger. So again, that's my perspective as a dermatologist. I'll tell people, appreciate your melanin, love your melanin, because it has a very important function in maintaining your skin, in preventing you from having things like skin cancers. You know, if everyone had melanin, there'd be a lot of dermatologists who would be out of business, because a lot of what we do is looking for skin cancers, treating skin cancers, and also treating people who are aging prematurely. They say that black don't crack, and there's some truth to that. Our melanin really, really helps us out. So I would just tell people, please just learn what your melanin does for you and appreciate what your melanin does for you before you get to a point where you're trying to use agents to prevent it from functioning the way it does and from doing its amazing things. And then a lot of times, even though people think they're more beautiful when they lighten their skin, earlier on, you may look good you may think you look good in your 20s, 30s, but you'll pay for it later on. There are things, a lot of people who bleach their skin too much, when they get older in life, they end up having discolorations and other skin issues because they interfered with their melanin. And so it may again seem like it's working right now, but you'll pay for it in the long run.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Kemi. I'm so glad you joined me today. I appreciate you. So you're saying that even if, quote unquote, you look lighter in your 20s and 30s, you do pay for it later. Does it depend on the quality of the bleaching cream you use? Because I do see some people in their 50s, 60s that have chronically used bleaching cream, and they still look, they don't have the discoloration that you talked about. Thank you.
Yeah, so it depends on the quality of the cream and what's used. There are many bleaching agents out there. Thankfully, people are not using mercury and the dangerous chemicals anymore. They used to use them in the past, and then, people would have issues like mercury toxicity and other things affecting their brains and their kidneys and other things. Right now, hydroquinone is one of the most common things used to bleach people. And in lower quantities, in lower concentrations, it is safer for people. But a lot of times, especially the stuff that's sold in the black market, it's high concentrations of hydroquinone, which eventually leads to a problem called ochronosis, exogenous ochronosis, where there are permanent deposits of blue-black deposits in the dermis of the skin, and these come from abusing it and overusing it. And these deposits are extremely, extremely hard to take care of and to deal with, and they come with years and years of use. So yes, it really depends on what's used, because obviously there's so many bleaching agents now that people use. Some are safer than others. So some people with a lot of means and who get guidance are able to use safer things with less side effects. But I still highly discourage it. I say love yourself and accept yourself as you are. I do know that sometimes that as dermatologists we'll prescribe it to help people who have issues like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation and scarring from acne. But whenever we're giving it, we're not giving it to change somebody's color of skin. We're giving it to help deal with the excessive hyperpigmentation that came after injury and to help things normalize. But I really want people to love their skin, because the flip side also happens in people who are very pale. And I know right now we're focusing on colorism, but we also know that really pale people go to tanning beds and they increase their risks of getting melanoma. And so my message to everyone is just love yourself, because know again that the person who you're trying to be, or the shade you're trying to get, there are people who have that shade who are not any happier and who are not even content in themselves. So just love yourself the way you are. You are created with worth. Accept it, love it, embrace it.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Kemi. That was excellent. And I'm so glad you mentioned that there are clinical situations whereby hydroquinone, it could be used for skin conditions. For example, I do have acne and I do have hyperpigmentation, and I decided that I needed to fix it when my daughter drew a picture of me with like dots all over my face. And I was like, what is that? Like, I thought we were friends. And she was like, oh, mommy, that's your pimples. So I was like, you know what? I need to like get rid of those hyperpigmentation. So yes, there are times whereby we need that, especially for people that suffer from acne or hyperpigmentation. So, Attorney Na, do you think the government in Ghana or in Nigeria should regulate the use of bleaching cream? But before you respond, I have a friend. She told me of her good friend that used to be a hairstylist, but she gave up her job to now sell bleaching cream because it's very lucrative. Like, she sells that. Like, so sometimes it's tempting to do that. So I understand. I know some people, it's their source of income. I'm all about entrepreneurship. So I'm not trying to take away someone's income. But we've heard from Dr. Kemi that it's dangerous, right? It's bad. It could cause cancer. It could cause things down the road. So should the government regulate it, since humans are like tempted to like use a lot of bleaching cream? Oh, I don't think Na is there. Na, are you there? All right. Okay. So let's go to CK. CK, I know you don't have a legal background until now comes in. What do you think? Do you think the government, I know in Nigeria or Ghana, do you think they should regulate it?
Well, the thing about it is there is a such thing as choice. Okay. And when it comes to government and choice, the choice of the people, that's a sticky topic, you know. I do believe that if there is a product or something that is causing harm to people, you know, maybe the government should step in. But there, you know, that's such a sticky topic, and it's hard to give a solid answer. In my opinion, if I was the government, I would have an understanding that people are going to make their choices, and whether the government would step in or not, I think people would find a way to access those materials. So, final answer is I'm not sure what the government would be able to do as far as regulating and preventing people from doing that, except for making it illegal, which, you know, I don't think they would do that.
Okay. Thank you, CK, for that comment. So you're not sure. So let me go back to Dr. Kemi. Dr. Kemi, is there a way that scientists will come up with a safer product for bleaching skin? I'm not, okay, since one, we cannot, like CK said, I wish Now was here, Attorney Now, to tell us the regulation or regulatory part of this. But if the government cannot regulate it and is harming people, okay, what about the scientists? Is there a way that they can create a product that is safer for people that want that choice? Again, I am not perpetrating it. I'm not suggesting that that's a better route, but I'm about safety and helping the community. Thank you, Dr. Kemi.
Okay, thank you for that excellent questions. So I actually think that there are already safer products that have been created. So we know of hydroquinone, which is the most common one, but there are things like retinoids that can also help to even out the pigmentation than to bleach to bleach the skin. We have things like soy extract that do that. Azelaic acid does that. Glutathione is a thing that can do that, but it has to be regulated very closely, IV glutathione, because that one, I mean, it's been overused. In fact, it's been banned in countries like the Philippines because people are doing it too much. So there are safer alternatives out there, but I think, again, as scientists are creating these and coming up with these, there's also that ethical movement where a lot of scientists are coming to the conclusion that people should just love themselves for the way they are. And so I don't think there are many scientists who are going, well, there might be some that are doing it just for the pure purposes of lightening skin. But I know as a dermatologist and somebody who prescribes some of these agents, when I prescribe them, I do it to help people like you, to help people who have melasma, hyperpigmentation, and even pigment, to help people even that out. And sometimes the skin brighteners are used. But again, when we do that, we're doing that to just help even the complexion and give you more positivity. And our hope is not that you will get positivity from having the lighter skin. Our hope is that you'll get positivity and confidence from having even skin tone. So I'm kind of glad that all the agents out there work slowly. And yes, scientists could come up with safer alternatives, but the discussion, I think, still should go back to self-acceptance, because the reason why a rainbow is beautiful is because it has all the colors. Can you imagine if a rainbow was just red and orange and yellow? It would be so boring. And it's the same thing with human beings. We're beautiful and we're wonderful because we have all the spectra, we have the full spectra of skin tones. And I wish that discussion, and it's good we're having that discussion, we should have it more so that people can love and appreciate and value themselves just the way they were created.
Wow. Okay. I think Na is here and I really want to hear her opinion. Na, the question I asked before we had the technical difficulty was, should the government in Ghana or Nigeria, or where it's used massively, regulate the use of bleaching products? Since people using it and it's detrimental for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think that would be. I think that would be good in terms of when you think about all the different things that we regulate, and this is trying to strike the balance between personal choice, isn't it? However, I would say even outside of the, lightening products, there's many things that actually we probably should regulate because I think personally we've moved very far away from some of the more natural things that could be used. So I think there's a huge imbalance, about how we actually look after ourselves. So sure, I do think it is something that should be regulated. The truth of the matter is that, when people are determined enough to get something done, they will find a way. However, there should be, yes, at least like a minimum standard on these things. So we try to minimize damage and harm to people. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. So as an attorney, you really would advocate for the government to regulate it. Thank you for that. So my next question is for CK. During Attorney Na's presentation, she talked about men briefly. The use of lightening cream is increasing in men as well. So my question for you is, I guess, twofold. Does colorism affect men directly? I'm not talking about them choosing a mate at this time, which is also an effect, but does colorism affect men?
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
does. It does, absolutely does. I think the study was mentioned earlier. I can't remember who mentioned it. It might have been Attorney Na, but there are studies out there that show that darker skinned men, they make less. The percentages from the study they're very far apart. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I just remember being surprised about it. And the same type of narratives that are put on women as far as the beauty standards, there are also narratives associated with darker skinned men. We're thugs, we're murderers. There's a lot of negative connotation that comes with being a darker skinned male. And with lighter skinned males, they're seen as more sensitive. There's some lingo where if a black man is acting a certain way, they say, "Oh, you're acting real light skinned right now." That's a thing. So yeah, definitely, it affects men directly, and it hurts. It hurts. And the thing with that is, you can in the way society is now, it's not popular for men to admit when they're hurting. So now you have a whole nother set of issues that stem from the colorism. So I can't deal with the fact that I'm hurt by the narratives that are associated with me being a dark-skinned male or a light-skinned male. So I suffer, so there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it.
Wow. Thank you so much, CK, for admitting that it affects men in terms of their ability to provide for their family. A lot of times when we talk about isms, we talk about the external affecting the internal. So external in this situation would be like the non-Black influence, the institutional. Today, we are focusing on the internal, quote unquote, on our families and how we deal with colorism. Would you agree, CK, that our families, Black people, perpetuate this colorism? I've heard families where the parents prefer the light-skinned kid more than the dark-skinned kid. I mean, yes, we talk about self-acceptance as one of the tools in moving forward, but where do we begin? I mean, self-acceptance sounds good. Thank you, Dr. Kemi. Thank you, Attorney Na, for bringing it up. It sounds easier talked about, but it's hard. Where do we start? What I do intentionally is when I see a darker skinned young kid, I always tell them they are beautiful because they are. I remember one of my little kids that I mentored, 5 years old. She's like, I'm beautiful, Auntie Ebere. And then I said, who told you you're beautiful. She said, you, Auntie Ebere, you tell me all the time I'm beautiful. And I was just filled with joy because I wish someone told me that. You know, I wish someone told me and built my confidence that I was beautiful as a dark-skinned girl. So I think there's a role for each of us. But CK, as an African-American man, how can we begin to heal within our families? Because our families are the first to like stop this problem. Thank you.
Well, the thing, it has to be on purpose. My belief is that if you want to start something like that, it has to be on purpose. It has to be a practice. Anything you practice, whether it's positive or negative, you get good at. So it has to be a common practice within all of our households where we let our children know, hey, you are beautiful no matter what, no matter how your hair is, no matter how your skin tone is, but it has to be on purpose. A lot of times we can go through life and go through the motions and just let life happen. But the things that you do on purpose and practice, it actually has to become a discipline. And I think that's where it'll start, at least, because we got to remember this colorism is, I mean, it started so long ago, and it transferred from generation to generation to generation. So there has to be a mindset to consciously be the person that breaks the chain of colorism within our own family. Even if we experienced it as a child, we have to try to make sure our children don't experience it. I mean, as far as the mindset, because we don't know what's going to happen once they leave from our homes, but we have to ensure on purpose with practice and discipline that they know they're beautiful.
Wow, thank you so much, CK, for reminding us that mindset is so important. It's hard, and it's a daily struggle. I remember just today, I posted something in my medical Facebook chat, and I made a comment that I didn't realize shows that I'm dealing with colorism. I said, unbeknownst to me, not all of us can be light-skinned. Like I meant it like I was trying to say that we are all different colors in the Black spectrum and we are beautiful, but I didn't use those words. I said not all of us could be light-skinned. And you know what? My peers, and I love my Black physician peers because they will correct you. They called me out. They said, Ebere, what are you saying? Are you saying the light skin is what we are targeting? Light skin is what we're looking forward to. And I was like, whoa, that's not what I thought, but that's what I said. Do you understand? So I thought I was woke. I thought I was. And I was called out correctly that I wasn't. That, you know what? Why did I say that? Why did I say that not everyone could be dark skinned? Why did I say not everyone could be light skinned? So you know what? I bring that transparency out there to the audience to say it's a process. Even me that I'm awoke. I am an African-American studies major from undergrad. I still focus on African and American studies or problems that affects us as Black people, but yet I still struggle. Do you know? I still struggle with it, you all. So, Attorney Na, why do we have this problem? Why do we have colorism as a problem? We should be thinking about poverty and other stuff, and now we got colorism to deal with. Thank you.
Because we are a people who have been through so much trauma. I think we even underestimate the level of trauma that we have been through that has gone untreated for so long. One of the things that I like us to remember, and people get this, in concept, is we actually need to learn how to develop compassion, because even being the case that we recognize this is not really what we want to be about, we didn't just make it up. It comes from somewhere. And therefore, to say that, okay, yes, we're just going to, press forward and forget this, to me, it is really underestimating where it came from. I'm not saying we should live in the past. I'm saying that we are here now, And we are carrying the trauma, the pain of how many generations that came before us. It doesn't just get wiped out like that. But I agree with Brother CK in terms of being intentional. The more intentional we can be, that assists, and be kind with ourselves. It's a process. It's not going to disappear overnight, because it certainly didn't appear overnight.
Wow, thank you so much, Attorney Na. Yes, be kind to ourselves. And I need to be kind to myself for making that mistake, because I really wasn't my intention, like I was making a comment, but wow, it was just really, really interesting. So, Dr. Kemi, she's a board certified dermatologist. She's also a life coach. She's a speaker. You talk about self-acceptance. How do we begin that process? It's not an easy thing to do. Like, you have to look, like, get a mirror and basically magnify the pores on your skin and like find the flaws. And then once you find the flaws, you treat it and move forward. It's hard. It's very, very difficult. If it wasn't, it would not be a thing. So can you give us some strategies and some steps that we can move forward with self-acceptance? And as CK says, we need to be intentional when we deal with others as well. Thank you, Dr. Kemi.
All right, thank you for that great question. And you know what? It's not a really easy answer to give. I can say one strategy is you can rely on your faith. So, thankfully, a lot of our people are people of faith, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim. And as a person of faith, you know that God created you, and you know that God created you in his image. So for some people, it will take using that religious angle to help you accept yourself, to help you realize that you were created exactly the way you were created for a reason. Because, when I was in medical school, it was amazing to learn that when we were created, there were 300 million sperm that were present for most people that day. Yet the one sperm that made you was 1 out of 300 million. Had it been the next door sperm, you could have been a different gender, you could have had different features, but you just happen to be the way you happen to be for a reason. And if you're a person of faith, you know that nothing happened by accident, and that God intended you to be exactly the way you are, with the features you are, because there was a reason why you were created that way. And so I find that for some people, if you can use your faith to bolster those thoughts, then you can know that, you know what, I'm a person of faith. I believe in God. I want to please my Heavenly Father who created me in a certain way. And so that can help you out. So you can use your religion as one way. Coming together like this and discussing it is another way, because we can share from our collective wisdom and our collective knowledge to help out. So I think talking about it helps us deal with the strategies. Surrounding yourself with people who love themselves, because you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And if you spend time with people who accept themselves and have that self-confidence, and they move beyond the things they cannot change to the things they can change, then you'll become like that. Because things like the color of your skin, it's really not something you can change about yourself. And when you move to that higher level of thought where you're like, let me focus on the things that I can actually change, because I will have more joy and more fulfillment when I can focus on things that I can actually change, then you'll have a more positive attitude. So I know I've given a roundabout answer to the question, but I hope this helps. And I think it's not a really easy question to answer. Otherwise, we would have dealt with it a long time ago. But just as CK has said and Dr. Nas said, colorism was built intentionally by minds that sat behind and thought about it a long time ago. And because there's a lot of intention that came into the creation of colorism and the creation of a society that was stratified based on color, and where people had privileges or were denied privileges based on color, it will also take a lot of intention and a lot of thinking and getting together to dismantle it. And so it's always a work in progress.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Kemi, for that. Attorney Na, before you head out, I want you to tell us or give us some strategies for self-awareness. Dr. Kemi, who is a person of faith, provides us with strategy using faith. I want you, because I know you're not Christian or Muslim, I want to say you're a traditionalist. So you bring your own different perspective if you're still around, and let us know what strategies we can employ in terms of becoming more self-accepting. Attorney Na, are you there? Technical team, can you add Attorney Na back to the stage? And then after that, Latasha can come on. Come on. Thank you. Sorry, this is our first time using StreamYard as a company. One second, getting the technical team. Israel, can you add Na back onto the stage? All right, guys, I don't see my technical team moving. Okay, thank you. All right, Attorney Na, sorry about that. Okay, go ahead, give us your own strategy. First of all, you're a traditionalist, right? I know you're not Christian or Muslim, right? You're a traditionalist or something close?
I don't have a label. I'm a spiritual being. I'm a child of God. That's it.
Okay, cool. So tell us your strategies for self-acceptance, please. Like what are some strategies? Thank you.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's encapsulated by the last slide. I don't know if people saw, in terms of really being on a continuing journey of knowing who I am. And that's embracing both parts of myself, both the ego and the soul. You know, I know we strive often to do our best and be our best. And we also have a part of us that's not so great, and it has a function. So I dedicate time to knowing both of those things and knowing how they operate, what my triggers are, what my light is, you know, in the same way that I would do for my children. It's like, okay, you are great and everything. You cannot really accept yourself until you know your whole self. You can say, I accept myself, but if you say, well, I don't quite like this thing that I do over here, you don't have to like it. And we can't move forward if we have a relationship where we demonize that thing. So I'm really real with myself. I work with people. I look at, you know, people will say shadow work, dark side, whatever. But for me, that is the only way that I get to shine as brightly as I can, is by going dark as much as I can. So it really is, in the simplest term, like continually learning about who I am, what I'm doing here, what I love, where I can improve.
Wow, thank you so much. So we are going to begin to wrap up, but before we do that, I want each of you to give us a take-home comment, and then we will go from there. So starting with CK, in terms of moving forward, I know you've talked about being intentional. What would you leave the audience listening to this show?
Strive to create an atmosphere where you can love yourself. That's
wow. Wow. Okay. How is that done? Creating an atmosphere where you can love yourself. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to find out, how is that done?
It's different for everybody. I think there's a lot of work that goes into it. You have to, you know, in a sense, it's piggybacking off of what Attorney Na said. You have to be able to identify yourself, like the things within yourself that make you happy. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What makes you triggered? What makes you angry? And it's all intentional. So it's intentional and it's practice, and you just have to do it.
Wow, thank you. Before we wrap up, as someone has posted, if there's any question that our audience listening at home or viewing from home would want to ask us, now is the time before we end. With that, Dr. Kemi, thank you for joining us. Tell us, is there any take-home comment you have for us? Thank you.
So, as a dermatologist, I'll go more scientific. I just want to remind people melanin is a gift. It's a wonderful thing. It's an antioxidant. It's so great for your skin. So just educate yourself on how wonderful this pigment that you have is, and love it, because it's there to serve you, and it's there to help you out. And when you know what it's doing for you, you'll hopefully love it more. Yeah, that's kind of my last quote. Just when the more educated you are, the more you'll know. And also just surround yourself with more positive people that accept themselves, because if you can surround yourself with positive people who accept themselves, you'll learn to accept yourself more. Also, stay away from people who do not accept, who are overly critical and who do not accept you and who put you down. So surround yourself with the positive, try to minimize the negative.
Wow, thank you so much. I love that. I love that melanin is a gift. Wow, that's awesome. Last but not least, Attorney Na, what's your take-home point, or what do you want us to leave with the audience? Unmute your mic there, please. Now, can you unmute your mic, or can technical team unmute it for her? Thank you. All right. Oh my goodness. I wish Na could unmute her mic, but it seems like she cannot, but that's okay. That's okay. So before I move to the next agenda, I want the technical team to pull up that slide with a comment. We're going to start from slide 22. All right. So the slide should read, we had spent our lives fighting against color bias, but we realized that it's hard to unlearn what we've learned our entire lives internalizing, especially when $1 billion industry is betting on all of us to believe that our dark skin is undesirable. I guess it's from I'm not racist, but are you a colorist? So yes, it's hard work, but we can do it. And some of the points to reiterate is surround yourself with positive people. That's what Dr. Kemi wanted us to know. CK wanted us to be intentional, and Attorney Na wanted us to accept ourselves. With that said, I want to say thank you. And now we are going to move to our announcement. Technical team, are you ready for the slide? All right. Okay, we're going to skip the raffle. All right. So again, we're shifting gears. We're moving forward. Healthy and Uplifted has been running for over a year. We've done over 10 webinars. You can find that information on our YouTube page. But I cannot do this without the help of my amazing intern. So I want to use the time to thank Sarika Polimoti for being an excellent intern. Thank you. And I wish you the best as you one day will become a physician assistant. Sarika said she loved working with us because she learned how we can mingle medicine with community education. Sarika, I just want to say thank you. As we move forward, I want to welcome our amazing intern, Israel Walker. Miss Israel she lives around the Washington area. She is a recent graduate from Wellesley College with a bachelor's in biochemistry and French. She wants to become a certified doula and an OBGYN, and she's going to hopefully start her medical school in 2023. Thank you so much. You are amazing. I appreciate you. Thank you for choosing to work with my team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I honor you. All right, so stay tuned for our next event. Our next webinar is scheduled for November 21st, again at 4 p.m. It's going to be streamed live on our Facebook page. Our discussion is school bullying. Next time we meet, I would tell you how I came up with this title. It's very personal, but I realize that school bullying is prevalent and personal. So we want to talk about how to tackle it and how to move forward and how to heal for those that have experienced it indirectly through our children. Next. So the next event, we're going to be doing a holiday glam beauty bonfire. It's going to be a master class. And you're going to be able to see Dr. Kemi again. Dr. Kemi is going to be sharing tips from her book. She's launching a skincare book, but she's going to go through like the layers of skin, how to decrease or slow down aging. And then we'll have a certified makeup artist, psychologist, and a counselor present to teach us, give us tips on how to apply the makeup. And we'll talk about empowerment internally. Again, it's part of our sequence in self-acceptance. So we want to teach ladies how to apply their makeup and how to take care of their skin so that they don't need to bleach it. Next, again, I'm the president and co-founder of Love Your Menses. We are always giving pads. So if you're in the Boston area and you want period products, please text us and we will find a way to give you products. Our goal is for menstrual equity and we are here to help. Next. I wrote a book, Jonathan and the Hole in His Shoes. You can find it on Amazon. Please go there, patronize me and buy it. But more importantly, share the story with your kid because this book stems from bullying and tips on how to stop that. Next. My second book that I co-authored with my partner, Bria Gatson, is My Lens About Menstruation. Again, a part of our menstrual equity work means educating people on the menstruation cycle or menstrual cycle, and also providing pads. So one way is for us to give you pads. The next one is for us to provide you with evidence-based information. Next. Again, thank you for all your support. I hope you were able to learn something from this free webinar. I apologize for technical difficulties. Again, some of our speakers are coming all the way from the continent, and sometimes the connection is not as good as it should be. But thank you for sticking with us and learning with us. All right, so we're going to thank specifically our technical team. Thank you, Brianna Chichere, our second-year medical student that always takes time to join us for this dialogue. I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Edlin Peacock, who is our technical director for now, for providing us with excellent technical support. Thank you, Israel, my intern. Again, I want to honor you all and say thank you. Noble, thank you, my creative designer. I thank you, Alpha. I thank you, Latasha, my vice president. Thank you so much. Bria, again, my partner. Thank you, Nkem Dachuku. Thank you. Again, this event is sponsored by Love Your Menses Azumah Solutions, for which I'm the founder, and this is Healthy and Uplifted. Again, support us. Join us on Facebook under Healthy and Uplifted, on YouTube. And thank you so much, our speakers. I am so grateful. Thank you, thank you. We're going to now end. Bye for now until I see you in November. Thank you. Thank you.